Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for coming back. I always appreciate you taking your time with me. Today is January the 13th, 2024. I have several news updates to share with you. As I reported before, there is an international uh, court hearing in the case of South Africa's lawsuit against Israel, claiming genocide. So South Africa presented its case. Israel responded yesterday saying uh, it is false, nothing happened, it's not genocide. Israelis are following international law of engagement for the war. So we are there now, no decision. And Germany also supporting Israel as a party to the lawsuit, defending Israel, claiming there is no genocide carried out against Palestinians. So United States is against this lawsuit, UK, plus others. So we are here without any decision, and the war crime against Palestinians still continue. Babies are dying, babies are injured, women. So the shelling, the bombardment, the military operation still continue. We are, eagerly waiting what the court might decide within a week. If there is a chance for injunction or uh, uh, temporary for temporary ceasefire until the case is uh, investigated and South Africa claim maybe decided at the end. It's really a serious war crime and the genocide is happening against Palestinians. The challenge is they don't have that much support, from those strong government like United States, United Kingdom, Germany, but they have strong public support globally. People are still rallying for Palestinians, shouting, calling for immediate ceasefire. Even today, I have the video in London. Massive pro-Palestinians, protesters calling for immediate ceasefire. Nobody's listening. Those big governments are ignoring. And the war in Ethiopia also continue in Amara region between federal government and the FANO still continue. And I don't have big victory to report to you, but that conflict is still bloody, still bloody. And pro-FANO media are claiming victory, but I don't have nothing to report for you. The conflict in Oromia is also between OLA and the federal government still continue. That is also very bloody, very dangerous, and Prosperity Party, using all countries' limited resources to continue this war, refuse to settle this conflict through peaceful means. And the other one is the tension between Ethiopia and Somalia. According to The Guardian, now the Somalian government is ready to go to war with Ethiopia regarding the signed memorandum of understanding. Let me read what it says. This is from The Guardian, read it. It says, "We are ready for war. Somalia threatened conflict with Ethiopia over breakaway region Somaliland. Somalia is prepared to go to war to stop Ethiopia recognizing the breakaway territory of Somaliland and building a port there, a senior advisor to Somalia's president, has said. This is a senior presidential advisor. A memorandum of understanding signed on 1st January allowing lacked Ethiopia to develop a naval base on Somaliland's coast has rattled the Horn of Africa, one of the world's most volatile regions. Somalia claims Somaliland as part of its territory and has declared the deal void. Last Sunday, its president Hassan Sheikh Mohamud called on Somalis to prepare for the defense of our homeland. While rallies have been held in Mogadishu, Somalia's capital, against the agreement. In quotation, "We are pursuing all diplomatic options, and I think Ethiopia will come to its senses. But we are ready for a war if Abiy wants a war," end of quotation, said the advisor, referring to the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Ethiopia and Somalia fought a conflict in 1977-78 over a disputed region, and the tensions still run deep. Ethiopia invaded Somalia in 2006 to dislodge Islamists from Mogadishu, helping to spark the Al-Shabaab insurgency, and today it is one of the largest contributor of troops in the African Union peacekeeping force in Somalia. The advisor said the port deal, in quotation, caught Somalia by surprise, end of quotation. He claimed Abiy had denied intending to seek sea access through Somaliland when questioned by Mahmoud at a summit in Saudi Arabia in November. So we know Prosperity Party officials lying to Ethiopians, lying to the global community. Very common, very common. They don't care. So they told them, he told them in Saudi Arabia, he is not signing any deal about the port with Somaliland in November. Now this advisor, telling us Prosperity Party officials, including the Prime Minister, are liars. This one is a support from Ethiopia-Somali region, head of state, and Prosperity Party head of the Somali region, Ethiopia-Somali region, supporting the memorandum of understanding signed between Ethiopia and Somaliland. So this is a good thing. Internal Somalis, domestic Somalis, Ethiopian Somalians are supporting, according to this. It says, President of the Somali region in Ethiopia, Mustafa Mohammed, said the memorandum of understanding recently signed between Ethiopia and Somaliland is set to strengthen diplomatic development and the neighbor lines between the two signatories. In quotation, the deal which Ethiopia made to acquire a military base and commercial maritime services based on the principle of give and take brings good neighbor lines and mend our country's brokenness without harming others, end of quotation, he said in a press on Friday. He emphasized the Memorandum of Understanding's particular significance to the pastoralists of the Somali region in diversifying markets for their livestock, ENA reported. Similarly, the regional head of the ruling Prosperity Party, Engineer Mohammed Shale, said the Ethiopia-Somaliland deal realizes Ethiopia's long-standing national interest of accessing the sea. He highlighted the importance of the Memorandum of Understanding to ease economic pressures in Ethiopia by lowering port service costs and stressed that the deal was made in a way that, in quotation, didn't violate the rights of our neighbors and based on the principle of mutual benefits, end of quotation. The party official said the primary beneficiaries of the MoU are the people of Somalia region and called on them to work with members and officials of the party to clear any confusion around the Memorandum of Understanding. Since its signing on 1st January 2024, the MoU, which grants Ethiopia access to the sea in return for international recognition for Somaliland, has caused tension in the region. Somalia, who sees the deal as a breach to its sovereignty and territorial integrity, rejected the deal, with President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud signing a law nullifying the deal. Following growing calls to de-escalate tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia, the regional body IGAD has called for an extraordinary meeting of the heads of state and the government of its members on 18 January 2024 in Uganda. So the meeting is called by IGAD to discuss the matter between all parties and these regional heads in January 18, 2024 in Uganda. Credit at this standard. This one is about the killing in Tigray region. This is Ethiopian Red Cross driver ambushed and killed on duty. Let me read. This is also at this standard. The Ethiopian Red Cross Society, ERCS, has strongly condemned the tragic killing of Waldu Aragawi, an ambulance driver stationed in the central zone of the Tigray region. Waldu lost his life in the line of duty on Wednesday night when he was shot by unknown assailants. According to Ethiopian Red Cross Society, Waldu was accompanying a medical professional en route to the Adi Gudem village to transport a woman in labor from his workplace, Neblet. Upon reaching the area, he was attacked and shot by unidentified gunmen. Despite residents rushing to assist, Ethiopia Red Cross Society says Waldu sustained serious injuries. He was quickly taken to the nearby Neblet Health Center, but succumbed to his wounds before reaching the Mekelle Haider Referral Hospital. Waldu had served as an ambulance driver in Ikmama since 2016 as part of the Ethiopia Red Cross Society Ambasneti District Central Zone branch. The Ethiopia Red Cross Society strongly condemned repeated attacks on its staff, ambulance, and property. In quotation, such unlawful actions violate acceptable norms and the Geneva Convention protection undertaken by the Ethiopian government, end of quotation, reads the statement put forward by the organization. In light of this incident, the Ethiopian Red Cross Society calls for a full investigation and justice for Waldu. The aid organization emphasizes the critical need to protect humanitarian workers and assets under international law. This tragedy echoes a similar 2022 attack in the Ethiopian Red Cross Society's Amara region's North Gondar branch, armed militant shot Red Cross driver Mengist Mnail while he was transporting injured Tigray civilians. Patients on board were also killed, disregarding their protected non-combatant status. Credit at this standard. So that's a challenge in Ethiopia. And those armed individuals, they don't care about, international protection for Red Cross workers, their ambulances, and all those working in hospitals. So many horrible stories we learned under Abiy Ahmed, and they say investigation, no, no investigation, no investigation. So many people killed, but nobody accounted for. The killing continues in Oromia. Nobody accounted for. In Amara, the same. In Tigray, the same. Nothing. Nobody. No rules of law. No respect for constitution. This one again from Addis Standard. Editorial. This is editorial board saying the following. It's a 2-page. Let me read. Drone strikes inflicting immeasurable civilian casualties in Oromia, Amara regions. Army must employ maximum restraint. I hope they will listen to this Addis Standard editorial board writing. In Ethiopia, the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, commonly known as drones, for combat purposes dates back to the outbreak of the Tigray War in November 2020. During the 2-year war, the deaths of thousands of civilians had been attributed to the aerial drone strikes by government forces. The most deadly drone strikes that hit a school compound, which was hosting thousands of displaced Tigrayans in the David, northwestern Tigray region on 7th January 2022, had killed more than 55 civilians sheltered in the camp. It is one of the most disturbing examples of the increasing use of drone strikes by the army against humans. Since the Tigray War, which later engulfed the neighboring Amara and Afar regions, ended through a cessation of hostilities agreement in 2022, several reports indicated the continuation by government forces of deploying drones in battlefields in Oromia and Amara regions, often inflicting heavy casualties on civilians. During a recent interview with the state broadcaster, chief of the General Staff of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, ENDF, Field Marshal Branu Jula, justified the use of drones in the fight against local insurgent groups. In quotation, "When we find the extremist fighters gathered at one place, of course, we will strike them with our drones," end of quotation, he said, emphasizing that the army acquired drones to use them. The field marshal, however, disputed the drone strikes targeting civilians. In quotation, "We ensure restraint to avoid civilian casualties," end of quotation, he said, stating that there were instances where the army identified targets but decided not to fire to avoid civilian deaths. Yet, facts on the ground diverge from this remark. Just 2 weeks ago, an aerial drone assault on a full gospel church located in Baro village of Kombolcha district in Horro Guduru zone of the Oromia regional state claimed 8 lives and left 3 severely injured. Addis Standard reported that members of the church, including church ministers, were gathering scattered corn on the church grounds on Monday morning, 25 December 2023, when the strike was carried out. Earlier in October, Addis Standard reported another aerial drone attack that killed 12 civilians. The strikes took place on 7th and 8th October 2023 during the time of the annual Irecha festivities in the districts of Hababu, Guduru, and Kombolcha of the same zone. In 2022, Addis Standard reported multiple drone strikes, including in Chobi and the Meta Walkite districts of the West Shore zone, which killed nearly 100 people. It's terrible. In Amara region, where the army is battling the non-state local militia called Fano, recurring drone strikes have caused tragic loss of civilian lives and the destruction of vital infrastructures. One incident in early December 2023, where an ambulance transporting crucial medical supplies was targeted by a drone, decimated 5 individuals. The heavy explosion resulted from the attack on the outskirts of the town of Wagaltena in Delanta district of the South Wallo zone, left the vehicle reduced to scattered debris. In November 2023, 2 separate drone strikes documented by the United Nations, one of a bus station and the other targeting a primary school, left at least 20 civilians dead. According to the United Nations, the Fano militiamen were reportedly carrying out attacks on Ethiopian National Defense Force camp near the bus station in Weber town, whereas parts of the school premises in Wadera town were occupied by the Fano before the airstrikes. Another aerial drone assault in August 2023 in Finota Salam town of East Gojam zone left at least 30 people dead and more than 55 others injured. The town's main hospital reported that all victims were male, with most in their 20s, with the exception of one 15-year-old boy. Reports put the death toll as high as 70, citing deaths that hadn't been reported to the hospital. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, in a report released in October 2023, documented several incidents in which drone strikes targeted civilians, including 8 civilians killed in Debre Marcos city on 19 October. It is evident that government drone strikes are having a devastating impact on the civilian population, both in the embattled Oromia and Amara regions, in violation of international laws that commit government to the protection of civilians during time of war. What is more concerning is the government's indifferences to the victims of these drone strikes, whose lives were cut short in vain without justice. The development of drones on human target, even if the targets are enemy combatant, is universally considered as the most dangerous exercise of military operation due to the potential for errors, lack of accountability, and the absence of due process, leading to the undermining of the principle of justice and fairness and combat. The world is full of well-documented use of drone strikes, misidentifying targets, leading to the deaths of countless innocent civilians in both combat and civilians zones. Thus, this is the conclusion of this editorial board of Aldis Standard. The conclusion: it is imperative that government forces employ maximum restraint upon deploying drones on human targets, investigate incidents where excessive use led to civilian deaths, and ensure justice by compensating victims' families and holding involved drone operators accountable. Thank you, thank you at this standard. But the challenge is how you're gonna make those Prosperity Party officials accountable. How can you investigate? There is no independent investigation. The government claim we are using against militants or against legitimate targets, but according to this report, so many civilians are impacted, and who can enforce international law? The challenge is, this is very serious. Who can enforce the international law when it's broken? Whether in Gaza or whether in Ethiopia or whether elsewhere, Ukraine, or who can enforce? There is no international body. There is no UN Security Council to hold, the criminals accountable and, the justice we are seeking. Nobody, especially at this time, because US and Russia, China, they don't agree. No agreement in anything. So how are you going to get any enforcement from the United Nations Security Council unless they come up, some kind of common ground to make them, avoid their differences and take care of the international affairs. But until that happens, everybody can do all kind of crimes and go for free. This is the serious situation we are in. Nobody is there to enforce international law. What happened to the war criminals? That the war criminals we witnessed in Tigray for 2 years. Eritreans, Fano militia, Amara officials, prosperity officials, military general. Nobody, whether under Ethiopian law or under international law, nobody accounted for. That's why we are repeating the same crimes. This is from U.S. State Department imposing further sanctions on Houthi financial facilitators. There is a tension over there, the chance for expansion to this war in the Middle East. Israel is continuing its action against Palestinians in Gaza, also against Lebanese northern border. Nothing is slowing down because there is no law. They don't scare something. There is no law controlling all these actions. Everybody is operating freely. The powerfuls, they can use whatever weapons they have because there is no one can restrain them, whether United Nations or Security Council or International Criminal Court of Justice. Nobody is there, man. Sorry. So now the United States is doing something instead of strikes. They strike Yemen, Houthi forces. Now they are doing some kind of sanctions. Let me see. Iran financial support to the Houthis has fueled their unrelenting attacks on global commerce in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. The United States is today designating 2 additional companies that have been involved in the shipment of Iranian commodities in support of the Iran-based Houthi financial facilitators Saeed al-Jamal and his network. We are also identifying 4 vessels as blocked property in which these companies have an interest. The United States will continue to counter illicit Iranian financial support to the Houthis. Along with our allies and partners, the United States will take available measures to hinder the destabilizing activities of the Houthis that threaten navigational rights and freedoms and global maritime trade. The Department of the Treasury action was taken pursuant to Executive Order 13224 as amended. So it says for more information on the designation, see the Treasury's press release. It says so. The war is already underway between the United States and Iran for a long time. So many sanctions. So many sanctions. What is left? Only direct fight between the United States and Iran. They did everything, all kind of sanctions under the excuse of Houthis, all kind of sanctions, all kind of problems. I hope it will settle without major conflict. This one is about Taiwan's election. This is also a hard spot because China wants to take Taiwan. Taiwan wants independent. And I think now maybe pro-independent candidate maybe won in yesterday's election. The United States congratulates Dr. Lei Ching-te on his victory in Taiwan's presidential election. We also congratulate the Taiwanian people for once again demonstrating the strength of their robust democratic system and the electoral process. The United States is committed to maintaining cross-strait peace and stability and the peaceful resolution of differences free from coercion and pressure. The partnership between the American people and the people of Taiwan, rooted in democratic values, continue to broaden and deepen across economic, cultural, and people-to-people ties. We look forward to working with Dr. Lei and Taiwan's leaders of all parties to advance our shared interests and values and to further our long-standing and official relationships consistent with the U.S. One China policy as guided by the Taiwan Relation Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. We are confident that Taiwan will continue to serve as an example for all who strive for freedom, democracy, and prosperity. Okay, so that is U.S. appreciating the new leadership in China. So that's all I have for today. Thank you. Let's share a couple of videos. One is about pro-Palestinian supporters in central London. Okay, so let me, so the first video is massive pro-Palestinian rallies in central London calling for immediate ceasefire. I hope those UK, US, Germany, or those big countries will listen to them because these people are, rallying for peace and a ceasefire almost for 100 days. Nobody is listening to them. Non-violent, peaceful. I don't know. This government are maybe pushing them to act violently. So far, they are non-violent. They're just demanding ceasefire. Let's listen to them and continue with other videos too.
This was the 7th major pro-Palestine march through London. Many had demonstrated
The
before,
7th.
but one new protester, Little Amal, a giant puppet of a young Syrian refugee. In Arabic, Amal means hope. She represents all displaced children. Again, marchers called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
People coming out every weekend saying a basic thing, just ceasefire.
Many celebrated this week's charge of genocide brought by South Africa against Israel at the International Court of Justice.
I don't think that would have happened without all the awareness that has been going on through these demonstrations. So I think it's very important.
Israel does need to be able to defend itself. No question about that. But there's also no question about the length to which the Israeli army is going.
Israel insists the genocide charge is false and grossly distorted. It's fighting Hamas, it says, not the Palestinian people. The UK's bombing of the Houthi rebels in Yemen for their attacks on Red Sea ships was condemned by some protesters.
Our government is choosing to value shipping containers over civilian lives is incredibly emblematic of what our government values.
1,700 police officers, the Met, with support from many other UK forces, shadowed the marchers. There were arrests for alleged support of a banned organisation and carrying offensive banners, but there was no significant disorder. The officer in charge said other suspects could be arrested later.
Sometimes what we will end up doing is dealing with investigations after the event when people have taken pictures of something that might be anti-Semitic or be inciting a hate crime, and then we'll investigate it retrospectively.
The organisers say these marches are going to continue, so whatever the drain on your resources, you're going to have to live with them.
And we will do the very best we can with the resources we have. This is a cost to communities, and the officers that would ordinarily be working in local communities will be in central London dealing with these major marches.
The London March was part of a global day of pro-Palestine action involving 30 countries. Martin Brunt, Sky News.
Thousands of people marched on the streets of Yemen's capital Sana'a, protesting overnight U.S. and British strikes on Houthi targets. The group spokesperson Yahya Saree vowed retaliation.
The American and British enemy bears full responsibility for its criminal aggression against our Yemeni people, and it will not go unanswered and unpunished.
Around 60 Houthi targets were attacked Thursday by more than 100 U.S. and UK missiles with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, ordered by President Joe Biden.
We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis as they continue this outrageous behavior, along with our allies.
The Houthis, an Iran-backed group and ally of Hamas, has for weeks launched disruptive attacks on ships in the Red Sea. They say it's in support of Palestinians under Israeli assault in Gaza, but some of the attacked ships have no links to Israel.
The Houthis have gained some legitimacy both at home and across the region by tying their actions to the conflict in Gaza and by saying that they're acting in support of the Palestinian people.
The White House says it doesn't want to widen the war, but it's unclear whether the strikes will deter or provoke more Houthi attacks.
The Secretary General further calls on all parties involved not to escalate even more the situation in the interest of peace and stability in the Red Sea and the wider region.
Following the strikes on the Houthis, the price of oil jumped Friday by more than 4%. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
I think maybe one more.
Discover new opportunities together in a new Chevy. Meet up in an award-winning Equinox. Lend a hand in a Silverado.
Yeah, the Taiwan election.
Now let us welcome our next president and vice president, Lai Ching-te and Xiao Mei-qing.
在民主和威权之间，我们选择站在民主这一边。中华民国台湾会继续和国际民主盟友 并肩同行。希望未来两岸都能够回到健康有序的交流。当然，也一如你所说，蔡英文总统这8年来持续不断的释出善意。
我个人是完全努力不够，非常遗憾的，未能完成正大门径，我让大家失望了。我要在这里深深的表达我12万分的歉意，抱歉，对不起大家。谢谢大家，谢谢。
Okay. So I hope the new leadership will choose less confrontation with China and, smooth diplomatic relation with it, maintaining its also, coexistence, not complete independence that will bring China to a war with Taiwan, plus the supporters, UK, United States, and others. So try to create some kind of smooth relationship without big Chinese interference into their business. If they did like that smoothly, peacefully, they can coexist. But if it's too much confrontation, Chinese might wage a war, and claiming to retake Taiwan. That confrontation is always problematic. In the same way, like Ukraine and Russia before the war, a little bit, too much NATO membership expanding to the border. Russia get angry, tired of this pressure from NATO, and those small countries try to be NATO members. And now we are in the war, and we don't know how to end it. And the global community should listen to these pro-Palestinian rallies, pro-peace rallies in London, in New York, and elsewhere. Should listen to them. These are peaceful demonstrations. Don't force these people to go violent, to act violently. So please listen. Do not ignore them. Ceasefire now, please. Joe Biden, please ceasefire now. Joe Biden is holding, Palestinian lives in line. If he says ceasefire now, Israel will listen to. The whole world will listen to the United States. The challenge we have is the United States, Biden administration especially. For 100 days, allow Israel to continue this merciless war, merciless bombardment of Gaza and West Bank. Still, the blood is flowing. And Turkey slam UK and the United States for striking Yemen, saying the United States and the UK are turning the Red Sea into the blood sea. Yeah, he's very angry, Turkey, Erdogan. So, instead of going around expanding the war, please ceasefire now. That is the main cause, but they are denying. It's talking about international navigation. This didn't happen before. Now it became a major problem because all UK, US, Germany, all of them supporting the war in Gaza instead of calling for ceasefire. If they call for ceasefire, Houthis will not fire into the ships, and no tension in the shipping roads. So instead of dealing with that, the United States and the UK are, want to expand, want to show their power, and continue their strikes in Yemen to expand the conflict and try to invite Iran to engage with them. And even Biden sent a message that, to show their readiness to fight Iran. I hope that will not happen. I hope ceasefire will be declared even at the end of the time. Yes, Israel destroyed all Gaza. Nothing. I don't know what is left. All life lost. More than 24,000 now. And more than 60,000 injured. The destruction is unimaginable. I never seen in my life something like this. I hope the International Criminal Court will give us a decision within this week, then continue their investigation about the genocide through months, years. But stop this war now. Listen to the global community. Listen to your citizens. Don't ignore them. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back with other news updates. Be safe. So long, everyone.